Tino Ball,
Do you know ball?
Tino Ball,
Do you know ball?
Tino Ball.
Do you know ball? Episode 34, ladies and gents. Welcome back to the best podcast on YouTube. I am your host. This is your other host. Let's get into the first topic, right? Shall we do this?
Yeah, we should get right into it. But before we start, I
Oh,
I have to mention
okay.
that my voice is a little shot after this weekend. This past week, Mets baseball has kind of killed my vocal cords. But as you expect, when you're that into the game, it's just what happens as a part of it. But with that being said, first topic of the day is about the New York Mets. And this is not talking about a recap of the last couple games. I was in Philly for the first game, game one, crazy, crazy ending. They actually came back. They won. They started off right. They did what they needed to do in game one. Game two, Castellanos was the hero for the Phillies. Um, and he absolutely killed it. A few mistake pitches by both, but the bullpen, maybe Diaz was left in too long, maybe McGill was left in too long, but at the end of the day, the bullpens were pretty taxed. And they capitalized it. Castellanos was sitting slider at the end there. I don't think he's looking for anything else. If you look back at that last at bat, there was a sinker inside, and he couldn't touch it with a flagpole. So I don't know why the Mets steered away from that, steered away from the fastball or the sinker. McGill should have thrown that instead of a slider because he was sitting slider and he pulled it. But that's just a quick recap. So we're sitting at 1-1 right now. But that's not what we're trying to talk about, Matt. Let's just me and you digest honestly what's happening with the New York Mets. Like
Yeah.
it's been a season, man. It's been this up and down year all year, roller coaster of a year. I know I've went through it, and as a baseball fan, I'm sure you can appreciate what's going on right now. Like I don't, there's no
It,
words can put into what they're doing.
it's been some fun baseball being played. It's fun baseball. It's magic baseball. Magical baseball for sure.
But yeah, dude, I mean, going back to the Brewers series, for a second, like you're in the third game. You're down 2-0. You're down the entire game. Um, and then Pete Alonso comes in and saved the day. So that's the thing I wanna touch on too, because we're not really here to recap the games. We're here to talk about the season as a whole.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
and I think this season, if you're a Mets fan and you're kind of hiding away and you weren't really proud to wear the colors, wear the jerseys of the team, I think a lot of them are back out because I think what this team did more than any team that I've watched in my lifetime is just brought the faith back because the theme of this year has been resiliency and never backing down, never giving up, um and just keep moving forward and to keep be scrappy, just find a way to win ball games when you're seemingly out of it. So this team has just impressed me with every inch of my body. We're not supposed to be here, but we're here because we fought tooth and nail. We beat Atlanta to go into the playoffs, put pressure on them, even though they were going to the playoffs. Probably there's an unspoken agreement. I think we could both understand that we were going to split regardless of what happened in that Monday game. But that Monday game was crazy, and then the Brewers never say die. Like you just it's never been um what I've found most impressive about this team is that especially in the playoffs, like if you look back at 2022, they died, right?
Yeah.
We
Uh-huh.
watched that together.
That was fun. Like not them dying, just to watch the games together.
Yeah, they died. They died.
Hmm.
You watched the third game. They didn't score any runs. They
Joe
rolled over
Musgrove,
and died.
right?
Joe
That was
Musgrove.
that was
Yep,
the ear game. That was the
that was
ear
the year
game.
game. They rolled over and they died.
Hmm.
But this team doesn't want to die, and I think that's another positive that I saw out of game two is that they don't die. It's never over really with this team until the last out's made, and that's what I love, and that's what I love. But yeah, I'm just regardless of what happens, Um, from here on out, from the moment this is recorded, this is before game three, so we're still tied 1-1. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know where this team's gonna be in a week's time, but I don't really think it matters because at the end of the day, this team has proved to Mets fans that
Hmm.
there's a bright future ahead. The Mets fans have a bright future ahead. And
Hmm.
like I I don't know. I've just enjoyed every second of this team. So cherish it while you got it. And that's
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do for the next week, week and a half, however
Hmm.
long this ride goes.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I do want to say too, I mean, Pete Alonso was getting so much hate. Like everyone was so ready to be done with him. People were saying, this could be Pete Alonso's last at bat as a New York Met. And then he comes up to the plate, game three against the Brewers. And as as they want to say with Bryce Harper, Pete Alonso had the swing of his life. He
Yeah.
the game get basically game winning home run. I mean, I know they taps him in after, but like it was pretty ridiculous. And I was even surprised. I watched that live and then, I saw Vientos the other day. He hit the game tying home run in the ninth. It's like this team just, you know, it never dies. And at least with Mets fans, I mean, you have something to at least hope for. I mean, I'm not a Mets fan. I don't really keep up with individual like stats and accolades, but Lindor has been MVP caliber this year. Vientos has been a fun little surprise. Pete Alonso, has been getting like a lot of hate, a lot of trash lately. So I'll maybe let Zach speak on that, or we can save that for a different day. But I know Nimmo's always reliable. Yankee legend Harrison Bader, Luis Severino. You got them. I mean, it's a gritty team. It's a fun team. Jose Iglesias, Mister Oh My God himself. It's a fun team, and a lot of people call them the team of destiny. So we're gonna see. As we record this, it's 1-1 in the series. If they beat the Phillies, they might just be the team of destiny. But we're gonna see. We're gonna see. So enjoy it while you can. I'll worry about the Yankees, but you enjoy the Mets as much as you can.
I will enjoy, but I think it's time to move on to our second topic. Now I'm gonna let you talk about this for a little bit more.
Yeah, so we're gonna go right into the theme of baseball, postseason baseball. Last night, at least as we're recording this, the San Diego Padres and Los Angeles Dodgers got into a little bit of some beef. There was a lot of beef. It was some fun beef. Not fun, but for us, it was fun as viewers to watch it. I'm gonna give you. There's a lot of things that happened, so I'm gonna kind of tell you what happened at the start of the game. Mookie Betts, I believe I saw a stat is like 0 for 21 in the playoffs this year. Crazy, crazy, doing his best Aaron Judge impression. Mookie Betts hit what would have been, his first hit of the postseason, hit a home run over the wall. Jurickson Profar's like, nah, let me have some fun for a little bit. Let me have some fun. Reaches over, catches it, robs Mookie Betts, and then just pretends like he doesn't catch it. He is like laughing at Dodgers fans, and they're all like, oh, like what's going on? And Mookie's like rounding the bases, thinking he hit a home run. And Jurickson Profar is like, nah, I got it. And it was just the biggest FU to Mookie Betts and the Dodgers. Little did we know there was going to be a lot more where that came from. Jack Flaherty, Manny Machado, they were barking, the whole time. Machado's at third, Flaherty's in the dugout. They're just barking, and that's the intensity I love to see, not just in the postseason, but from division rivals. Manny Machado's like, I'll meet you outside. They're barking. Flaherty doesn't really have too much room to talk. I mean, he did give up like 4 runs in that game, so really wasn't the best start from Flaherty. Actually, not at all. The Dodgers got absolutely clapped that game. But that was only a glimpse of what was to come. And Zach, now you can tell them the climax.
Yeah. Dude, after all that game provided, um, and the back and forth of drawing between Machado and Flaherty,
Right.
which
Mhm.
I love it. I love to see the fire, but I don't think Flaherty was really in a position to talk.
He wasn't.
Especially, first of all, I think at that point he was down 4-1, and they're going back and forth. Regardless, I know this final score of the game was 10-2. If you're down, you can't talk. Even if you're up, you really shouldn't be talking because anything can happen in playoff baseball. You see teams score 5, 6 runs in an inning. It could be done. Anything could be done. But
Especially if you're the pitcher, if you're the reason that those runs were given up too.
yeah, and they weren't on like hits on base hits or doubles or anything like that. Home runs, home run ball, the
I
gopher
think,
ball got to to the Dodgers last night.
think the Padres hit like 6 home runs, I think. Not all off Flaherty, but in total, the Padres were mashing yesterday.
Mashing. Tatis loves that ballpark, lives and dies by that ballpark.
Mhm.
Um, but moving on to like what happened in the later innings, fans actually threw baseballs at Jurickson Profar, which endangers the player, and he obviously had some words for the fans. Wasn't too happy about that. I mean, how who wouldn't be?
Who would be? Yeah.
Um, but you know what, Dodgers fans, you open the door. You definitely open the door. It's going to be a fun series because now, especially division rivals, every year, seemingly for the past couple years, these two teams have faced off in the playoffs, and it's been a dogfight throughout each year. But now, Dodgers fans, you have opened the door for the Padres fans to respond back, and that's going to be a hostile environment. Like they're not going to be kind to your outfielders. They're not going to be kind to your players. It's going to be a war, and now it's tied up going back to San Diego, which I feel like is a little bit worrisome maybe for the Dodgers because I believe who pitched games 1 and 2. Obviously, Flaherty pitched game 2. Game
Mhm.
1 was Yamamoto, correct?
Yeah. Yamamoto.
So I don't know who's going game 3. Maybe, maybe, I
I don't
forget his
know.
name.
They're hurt. I mean,
I don't.
Kershaw's
Kershaw's hurt.
done.
Yeah.
Glasnow's done.
Glasnow's
Um,
done. Maybe Gavin Stone.
he could. I mean,
Maybe
had
that.
okay, pretty solid regular season, maybe.
You gotta be worried a little bit. I don't know
Yeah.
who the Padres have up. I could probably look. Yeah, you could probably look it up to see
Um, Padres probably Michael King. Yeah, so Tuesday's game tomorrow, as we record this, Walker Bueller versus Michael King.
Walker Bueller. Walker Bueller's had a terrible season.
Yeah, I got
Although he's coming back from injury, Michael King is dirty. Is
I got
dirty.
Yankee legend. I got Yankee legend Michael King on this one.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough battle. I really
Hmm.
think that Michael King is gonna pitch a gem, and I
At
think
home too.
the
Mhm.
Padres may just take game 3.
I
And
think
then
yeah.
that's a struggle because just like any other series in the playoffs, every team at the moment, breaking news, sorry to just mention this in the middle of the Padres topic, but the Tigers are just tied it up. It's 1-1 in that series.
Hmm.
Padres are 1-1. Mets and Phillies are 1-1. So this next game for all three of those series is going to be very vital because then it puts pressure on the other team to win back-to-back games, and that's extremely hard to do in the playoffs.
Hmm.
So we'll see exactly what happens. But Padres and Dodgers, you gotta love it. Gotta love the rivalry.
Always, always lives up to the hype. Arguably, I mean, there's right now there's three divisional rivals, in the playoffs right now, which is awesome. You have the Mets, Phillies, Dodgers, Padres, and then Tigers, Guardians. I mean, you're the Mets fan, maybe you can shed some light, but I think this is the best one, Padres versus Dodgers, in terms of a rivalry.
Look, if there's any animosity between two teams, like obviously the Mets and the Phillies, there's always a rivalry there, season-long rivalry, but this is the first time they've played each other in the playoffs when it really, really matters. Like
Hmm.
there's been some meaningful games in the regular season over the years, but now it really, really matters because now we're both in a position we're trying to fight for the ultimate prize, which is the World Series. Any team in the playoffs is trying to make it to that goal.
Yeah.
And win a chip. But the Padres and the Dodgers have a lot of history in the playoffs.
Hmm.
And from what it's been, the Padres seemingly have their number. They seem to have the Dodgers number in the playoffs. And this is a different Dodgers team now. You got Shohei and you got Teoscar. You got a bunch of other fun additions to add different pitching staff, even though the Dodgers are pretty injured in that sense because you don't have Glass now. You don't have Kershaw, even though Kershaw's a little past his prime. We've talked
Yeah.
about that in the past.
He's probably done. Yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of what's at stake and looking for revenge wise, I think the Padres and the Dodgers series might be the most exciting series in the playoffs right now.
I
But
agree.
yeah, let's go straight into the basketball world now.
Basketball. NBA is almost back. NBA is almost back, folks. So there's gonna be
NBA is almost back.
a lot more Nets to talk about.
Yep, and a lot more glazing to do because that's exactly what the media did with Bronny James and LeBron. Because yet again, everybody was all over this preseason game and talking about how Bronny and Bron, first father and son duo to play with each other. And while that's all well and great, we'll get into our thoughts on the game. So for starters, I just want to read a little quote. Matt, we could talk about the game after I'm done
Sure.
reading it,
Yeah,
but
of course.
this is just a little quote from LeBron. Um, Bron says, I'm preparing for the game like it's a regular game, but the moment when we came out of the timeout and he was picking up full court and I went up because my guy was taking the ball out, we stood next to each other and I kind of looked at him and I was just like, is this the Matrix or something? It just didn't feel real. So he's in a kind of state of bliss right now, LeBron, about
Mhm.
being able to play with his son. And while this is all well, this is all good, um, I feel like he's very accomplished and feels pretty complete with the NBA. I know he says he still has a few years to go, still has a lot more in the tank. Um, but I feel like you gotta feel that he's pretty complete. Now I want Matt, I want you to mention this before I speak on it. I want you to just read off the stats between the two. Obviously, Bron's going to be better than Bronny, but we want to talk about Bronny's stats.
Yeah,
Now,
let's go. Yeah.
go ahead, read off the stats between the two.
LeBron had 19 points, 4 assists, 5 rebounds in 16 minutes of action. Bronny, get this, had 2 rebounds in 13 minutes of action.
And that's it.
Pretty even stat line. No,
I know,
was
right?
no,
I
no.
know, right? Pretty even. But
Mhm.
you know what? This is the major issue with Bronny, right? His scoring, his defense. I've seen some solid things on his defense for a long time now. I actually like his defense. I think he plays pretty good defense.
He's
But
just
his
not
scoring
ready.
is just not there.
He's not ready at all.
Yeah, it's just him being rushed into the NBA. And while the media wants to push Bron and Bronny to play with each other in a full season before LeBron retires from the game of basketball, yes, that's great. But if the kid's not ready, you can't force him because he's not going to be in the NBA for much longer if you force something that's not there. His offense is not there. His defense is something that is really good and has been really good, but the offense is not there. I don't know, Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, like I said, he's just not ready. I think it's funny that it's funny that LeBron thought he was in like the Matrix and he couldn't believe it, but like you're the reason that your son is in the league in the first place. Like I'm sure he probably kind of held the front office to some standard that like, look, you have to draft Bronny. I'm sure there's definitely some conversations. They didn't just draft Bronny just to draft Bronny. It's 100% because of LeBron's influence. But he's just not ready. Bronny could have probably benefited from a couple more years at college, but unfortunately, LeBron doesn't have a couple more years. I think that they really should leave him in the G League for the majority of the season, if not the entire season, because the Lakers are still trying to be contenders. I don't think they are contenders, but as long as you have LeBron, Anthony Davis, and whatever supporting cast they have around them, they're going to aim to win a championship. They're not good enough to win a championship. So if you have Bronny playing meaningful minutes and a part of that rotation every single night at his current state, at his current skill level, he's gonna get crushed. He's gonna get killed. And I fear for him, especially in the media, like today's day and age, that poor kid is going to get crucified. Let him He was the 50 something, one of the last picks in the draft. Let him flourish in the G League, right? That's more of his speed at the moment. And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of all-star players right now, or just really good NBA players, started off in the G League. Like Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Chris Middleton, like a lot of people like that. They started in the G League. Even Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton, Jared Allen, like they were all as a Nets guy. They were all in the G League for a little bit. Let them play, let them develop, let them, build their game. And then when it comes to facing real competition, they'll be more defined. They'll be a lot better. And that's what they have to do with Bronny. You can't just put him on the court and expect him to make a meaningful impact in the game when he's just not ready. He's undersized and everyone else around him is just more experienced and more physical than he is. So let the kid blossom. Maybe in a couple of years, probably after LeBron is gone, maybe Bronny can do something. But I wish him the best because I think it would be awesome for Braun and Bronny, father-son duo, to be incredible side by side.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the kid needs a lot more time to develop, but I just don't think that's what the media is gonna do. And who's head and shoulders better than him, and like shown a lot of promise for the Lakers so far. Their other
Don't
rookie, Dalton
don't
Connect.
connect. Yeah.
Brother's a demon. I
Because
think he's got potential.
that's an NBA ready prospect. There's a huge difference between Dalton Connect and Bronny. That's an like he would be not even on the Lakers. He would be an immediate impact for any team. Any team that needs a
Exactly.
shooter. That's the player that you want in today's day and age. And I honestly think that he's going to be a very good asset to the Lakers.
Yeah, he'll be on that roster. Bronny, again, I think the media is just gonna push him towards the NBA, which I think is the wrong move. Um, and LeBron's gotta. I mean, I wish if he knew what was good for his son, he should just step in. It shouldn't all be about him playing with his son before he retires. But that's really all I got on that. Matt, if you want to lead us into our next topic.
Yeah, our next topic. We didn't actually, I don't think, formally talked about this yet, right? No, and
No,
it
we
might be
never did.
it might be a little late, so we're gonna go into more depth with it. Carl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges just made their debuts for the New York Knicks. To kind of, if you've been living under a rock, right? Earlier in the summer, the Knicks traded 6 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. And then recently, they traded Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, and a first-round pick to the Timberwolves for Carl Anthony Towns. I'll speak very very quickly on the trade itself, the Cat trade, because the Mikal trade, I went into great depth when that happened as a Nets fan. The Cat trade I don't like for the Knicks. I don't. Um,
Neither do I.
yeah, it was a very. I saw the tweet, and I genuinely thought it was fake. Like I thought I got butt cracked. I really did. I was like, this is fake. And then I get more notifications, and I see more things, and I'm like, this is actually real. And not just because of like it just didn't seem like why was the trade made? You know what I mean? Like the Knicks, like Julius Randle, it was your guy before Brunson. He was your guy. He helped lead the Knicks to the 4 seed in 2021 before Jalen Brunson. And now it's like a big slap in the face, because he's a big, I mean, he's an all NBA player, right? He's an all-star. He led the team before Brunson. And then not only do you name Brunson the team captain over him, you then ship him off to Minnesota. DiVincenzo, I heard, was very unhappy in New York based off his role. He didn't care about the Nova boys. He just wanted to play. He wanted to get minutes. So now he'll get some meaningful minutes in Minnesota. And I think Minnesota comes out of this such a better team. Asset wise,
100%.
yeah, the spacing's a little sketch next to like Gobert and Randall. But as a whole, Minnesota got so much better from this. And I know the Knicks really needed a center because they lost Hartenstein and now um, Mitchell Robinson's hurt. So I guess they get their center helping Cat. But you lost a good amount. Now the Knicks don't really have a bench. But we're not here to really talk about that. That's just my thoughts on the trade as a whole. Um, I do think the Timberwolves won the trade. But let's talk about the debuts of Cat and Mikal Bridges. Cat had 10 points and 4 rebounds in 15 minutes. Bridges had 4 points and 1 rebound in 13 minutes. I want to talk about Mikal Bridges, a dear friend of mine. Me and Mikal are best friends for those that don't know, or we were best friends. We're ex best friends now. But Mikal Bridges, is not worth 6 round picks at all. But that's what the Knicks and the Nets deemed him to be his worth. So when you're putting up 4 points and 1 rebound, granted it was only 13 minutes, you're gonna get a lot of laughs and you're gonna get a lot of media criticism. I saw a clip of him getting blown right by LaMelo Ball, and then I saw another clip of LaMelo Ball shooting a deep three over him. Mikal Bridges is supposed to be an all NBA defender, one of the best in the league. And you're letting these all-star players blow by you. Granted, they're all-stars, but this is why they paid 6 first-round picks for you to stop that. Now it was only a couple plays, but 4 points. I don't know his shooting splits, but I don't think it was great. I mean, you only scored 4 points, 1 rebound. Like, it is preseason, so take it all with a grain of
Yeah.
salt. But it could have been better.
But
And
look, I don't know if you've seen too. I want your thoughts on it, but
yeah,
I think you probably have seen because it's going viral a little bit. His new jumper, his new jump shot. I didn't like it. It's too slow. Quite frankly, it looks broken. It's a shell of its former self.
mhm.
And but look, we're not here to really pick on that. That's like nitpicking at what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, if he shoots better than 43% from the field, I mean, hey, good for you. Good
Yeah.
for you. Maybe you'll score more than like 6 points and 8 points in a couple games. Sorry, I'm a little bit of a hater now. Kind of have to
Yeah,
be a little bit of a hater.
just to really quickly, um, I think the Knicks really just gave up a lot in these two trades. A lot of their future is gone.
Yeah.
A lot of their future is gone. And the cat trade, maybe we eat our words. The only way I can see this even being somewhat good is if they could win a ring. Like that's why you got them in hindsight, right? Like that's when we look at this and we look at the ceiling of the Knicks, right? What can the Knicks do? They have potentially one of the best starting fives in the NBA right now, but
Sure.
I hate to break it to you, the number one seed still in the Eastern Conference is the Boston Celtics.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There is no doubt in my mind that they are still the number one seed, and the Knicks could still they could be two. They could be two. They could even be three. They're gonna be high up there. We know that. Um, but again, playoffs is where these trades and these moves that they did in the offseason are gonna shine the most. So a lot of the ceiling for the Knicks is going to be dependent on how they perform in
hmm
the playoffs. Cat really wasn't that great in the playoffs for the Timberwolves last year. Um, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe he turns into a different monster with you pairing him with guys like Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart and OG and all those guys. But again, that's your starting
Yeah.
five. Like that's
hmm
I just named people from the starting five. Their bench not
Yeah.
really there. I mean,
You,
Deuce, sure,
you can't
but
run out a Deuce campaign and like Precious Achua
yeah,
bench. You need
I
more.
that's gonna be
You're
rough. And you
you're
know,
gonna need
you know how
more.
Thibodeau likes his like short, like 10-man rotation. Or
Yeah, and speaking of Thibodeau, I forgot to mention as well, him and Cat were in together in Minnesota, and Cat hated him.
yeah,
You can look up some of Cat's past quotes about Thibodeau, and they're not very friendly. They're not very friendly. So I'm very intrigued, as to see how Cat and Thibodeau will work now. And Cat is probably going to be playing the bulk of the big man minutes. He might be playing 40 minutes a night. I mean, who knows what Thibodeau has up his sleeve, but they don't really have any centers. I mean, Cat is going to have to get the bulk of the minutes. And I don't know if his knees are going to hold up by the end of the year or by playoffs.
yeah.
But
It's just again, you're gonna have to see how the chemistry. How is that chemistry with Thibodeau gonna work with coaching wise? How is he gonna respond to Thibodeau's coaching once again? Even given that you've just mentioned, and we've all known that it didn't really work out in the past. So that's gonna be interesting. But how is he gonna click with the different aspects, the different type of game that the others around him bring? and you're not gonna do circles around campaign Precious. I mean, you're probably gonna throw a Jericho Sims out there eventually at some point, Deuce. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a fun year for the Knicks. I do still think that they have one of the best, if not the second best, probably the second best starting fives in the league. But in terms of depth wise, it's just not there. It's just not there. And I think that's gonna maybe their problem going into this next season. Um, but yeah, my number one pick, my number one team in the Eastern Conference is still the Boston Celtics. They're still just too good.
They're
And
ridiculous.
there's no denying that. But I do want to get into our final topic of the night. Shorter pod, like we said, but we want to just mention Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Now, I know we've gone from baseball to basketball, now to football tonight. So if you're having a little hard time keeping up, just go to clips if you don't understand a specific sport. But here we go. Aaron Rodgers is falling apart, and the Jets are falling apart. And I hate to say it because you looked at this year and you thought, damn, the Jets might go all the way. The Jets might be a Super Bowl team with the talent they have on their roster. They still have tremendous talent on their roster, but there's people that are not playing to their capabilities. And Aaron Rodgers is just people expect a 40-year-old quarterback to be prime Aaron Rodgers. That's what Jets fans think. They think that this 40-year-old guy, is going to be in his prime and is going to be moving the way he did in his early days in Green Bay. And that's not what's going to happen because he's older. Quite frankly, he's still really good. He still can be really good. He's just got to find a way to just use the chemistry that they have on the Jets and just just work on making good passes. Cause that's a real bugaboo that he's got there.
A
You know,
bugaboo?
yeah, that's a real
That-
bugaboo.
That's gonna be a rocking shirt in a
That's
couple
gonna be a
months.
rocking shirt. That's a problem. It's an issue for him. Last game, if you just look at last game alone, three interceptions. Three interceptions. Granted,
Yeah.
the Vikings are been a pretty good team, been one of the best teams in the league
Yeah.
as of so far this year, but three interceptions, Matt. What's your thought? What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so Rodgers, like you said, everything has not been great. And I don't know if anyone necessarily thought that he was going to lead the Jets to a Super Bowl, just more so that he was going to help them improve and help them make the playoffs. But Rodgers, I mean, from what we've seen, looks like a shell of himself. And not even just him, but like a lot of people got to be better, like Brees Hall and even like Garrett Wilson too. Just a lot of people got to be better. And uh, the Jets, we might have, I think me and you specifically overrated them at the start of the year.
Yeah,
We're gonna look back at that video, that prediction that we
I
made, and
know what our record we predicted the record for them.
what do we say?
We said 11-7.
That's so bad.
I
I
mean,
knew it.
that's there's still time. There's still time
11
for
and
them.
11-6, you mean?
No, I think we said 11-7.
No, it's got because
Maybe
there's 17 games, so it
maybe
has to be
11
like
and
a,
6.
maybe 11 or
But
maybe 12-7. No, that's not math. You know what I mean,
yeah,
folks.
probably
You can
probably
you
like
can do the
11 and
math.
6. But like, dude, like
Yeah.
I think we did. We overrated them.
Yeah,
Um,
we should revisit that. I don't want to do
granted,
it now because
you
I
know,
might cry.
granted, it's still really early, right? It's 5 games, but at what point does that phrase just go away? Like, at what point are the Jets going to click, and are the Jets going to finally realize that we have a talented roster and we need to start playing to our expectations? I know the Vikings were a tough game. I can see that. But you can't lose to the Broncos. You could not lose to the Broncos the week before. So those are things that they're gonna have to improve on. I've been hearing things about them potentially firing the head coach, Robert Saleh.
They get Devontae Adams too. they're rumored.
Rumored to get Devontae Adams, but you know
You,
what? By the trade deadline, if they just keep playing the way they're playing, they might not be in it. They might not need to go out and get Devontae Adams because they
they
might not be in playoff contention.
they play the Bills next, so it's I'm gonna just assume it's another L. I mean, anything can happen in football, but Josh Allen, the Bills have been pretty solid this year, as they always are. So they that would make them 2-4 on the year, and then afterwards you got the Steelers who have been great as well. So maybe that's another loss. So you just kind of have to
Yeah,
you just got to be better. And I think Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen. He's a great veteran leading this young squad. I think if there's anyone that can kind of group people together and be like, "Yo, come on, let's do this and figure things out," I think that would be Aaron Rodgers. He has the talent. So, like
yeah,
you said, it's still a little early, but for what we specifically were saying about the Jets, they got to be a little bit better.
yeah. They just gotta be. It's not too late for them to flip the script. You know, many teams do this. Many teams throughout all sports flip the script on what fans think are thrown away year. Many teams do it. It's happened before. Could happen again. They just have to get their heads straight on, glued straight on. They have to play like the way they know they can play. Like you said, the Bills, that's going to be a tough game for them to win. Not only that, the Steelers, you mentioned the Steelers. The Steelers are, I don't think, we're on anybody's top team list going into this year. Justin Fields, my man, Justin Fields is going crazy for them. I think that's one of the biggest surprises because going into this year, you thought Russell Wilson was your quarterback. Then he goes out, and now you're stuck with Justin Fields. And Justin Fields has been really good, and the Steelers
Yeah,
have been really good.
you got a new home.
So it's going to be a tough 2 games. And if by that point you're 2-5, at what point? At what point do you get worried? It's got to be within the next 1 or 2 losses. Maybe by that loss, now it's time to panic. Now it's
Yeah.
time to panic for the New York Jets.
I think if they lose next week, even though I think they'll lose, and I think a lot of people think they lose, they should start panicking now. Personally, you got to figure it out.
Yeah,
You got to get all the cylinders to click. All the cylinders need to click.
Rodgers needs to step up. I
Yep,
know he's
and
40. I
he
know he's old, but he's got to just play to Aaron Rodgers' name, not prime Aaron Rodgers, but as to a good QB who could just stand there in that pocket and hand the ball to his running back, throw the ball to his receivers. He has to be better. The team as a whole has to be better. Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, all those guys, Alan Lazard, everybody in that offense and just needs to be better because there's times where the defense clicks and the offense doesn't. There's time where the offense clicks, defense doesn't. So I just think the Jets just need to get their shit together.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you want to add anything more, we can.
uh
But
Dak Prescott's the MVP. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna get into it. That would be
we could save
fun.
that. We could save that for a later date because I know that you know Cowboys might have a little woes right now. I think they're
The
just coming off a good win though.
this season's over.
All right, we'll get in that into that. Maybe next pod.
Yeah,
Maybe next pod.
we'll see how I feel next week. I think they play the Lions next week. So
Yeah.
last night or this morning, I should say, it carried over. I was like, we're so back, and now probably after next week, I will think the season's over again. So
So, with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in to episode 34. It's been a blast. We're sorry for the past couple days. You know, it's been a little tough with our schedules, but we will try to keep going and keep giving you guys more content, more exciting things waiting for you guys in the future. But that has been episode 34, and we will catch you in episode 35 next week. See you guys later.